In the summer of 1985, 13-year-old Serioa Pavlov disappeared in the city of Nevinomysk. Early in the morning, he left home, telling his parents that he was going fishing. When evening came and the boy had not returned, his relatives raised the alarm. The neighbors said that the boy had told her in secret that he was not going fishing at all. Anatoli Slivko was going to photograph him for an illustrated magazine. Anatoli Slivko was a well-known and respected person. An honored teacher of the RSFSR school, a master of sports in tourism, a long-term leader of the Chergid Tourist Club, a party member, and a city council deputy. When he was asked about Serioa Pavlov, who was a member of the Chergid Club, Slivko said that he knew nothing about it and had not seen the boy on the day of his disappearance. The investigator wanted to talk to Slivko in more detail, but the next day he left for the sea with a group of students. Slivko was born in Izberbash, Dagestan, in December 1938. The boy's parents were in conflict even before his birth, and his mother even tried to get rid of the pregnancy at a late stage. As a result, Tolya was born with a birth injury and survived only thanks to the high professionalism of doctors. He was about 4 years old when, during the German occupation, he witnessed the death of another child. A boy trying to protect his dog was shot by a Nazi. Tolya remembered how the fascist wiped his black boots, stained with blood, on the body of the murdered man. He grew up withdrawn, sickly, shy. Tolya preferred to spend time with rabbits, which he bred, to playing with friends. At the same time, the boy happily killed and butchered his favorites. Adults did not see anything strange in this. Rabbits were originally raised for meat, so everything is logical. Time passed, and it was time for Anatoly to serve in the army. He was sent to the Far East, and, from the point of view of the command, the young man showed himself from the best side. He was disciplined, carried out all the tasks assigned to him, and was not noticed in any unseemly behavior. True, while the rest of his colleagues were discussing girls, Slivko remained completely indifferent to this topic. When Slivko returned to Nevinomysk, he nevertheless got married and even managed to have 2 children, despite the fact that women did not attract him. Slivko's future wife, Lyudmila, worked with him at a chemical plant. After a short courtship, he proposed to the girl. Lyudmila was not alarmed by the fact that Anatoly did not try to hug or kiss her on dates. She believed that such behavior spoke of the decency and seriousness of the man's intentions. On their wedding night, it became clear that Slivko had problems in the sexual sphere. He was not interested in Lyudmila at all, but he treated her with great respect. Slivko once went to the doctor because of problems in his intimate life, but the doctor only advised him to rest more. The nurse present at the appointment laughed at Slivko, which greatly embarrassed him. So the man decided not to talk about his difficulties. The couple had 2 sons in marriage. Slivko was happy with his status as a married man. The stamp in his passport added weight to him in society and inspired trust. During his military service, Anatoly witnessed a traffic accident. A drunk motorcyclist crashed into a pioneer squad. The sight of the bloody body of a boy in a pioneer uniform and polished black boots caused him strong sexual arousal. Many years later, Slivko said that such a reaction of his own body scared him. but he did not know what to do about it, which doctor to go to. And he also felt that he wanted to experience such feelings again. The exemplary serviceman Slivko was rewarded with a valuable gift upon his discharge into the reserve: a movie camera. He came to Novosibirsk, where his family now lived, entered a technical school, after graduating from which he got a job as a general operator at the Azot chemical plant. And here, too, the management could not be more pleased with him. Slivko worked conscientiously and also published articles in the plant's newspaper. Then Anatoli began to work with children on his own initiative. He told them about the nature of the Far East, about hiking trips, etc. As a result, he became the founder of the tourist club Romantics. There were few children's clubs and sections in Novosibirsk, and the new club immediately became a center of attraction for school children. In his club, the maniac was looking for victims, but he did it cunningly. He studied child psychology and medical literature. In the latter, he read that strangulation can result in retrograde amnesia. A person loses consciousness and does not remember previous events. This was to his advantage. He conducted his first experiment in 1964. He offered a random boy to play the role of a pioneer patriot whom the fascists decided to hang in the forest. Using a rope, the monster turned off the teenager's consciousness. Watching him twitch in convulsions, he experienced pleasure. Soon, the guinea pig came to his senses and really did not remember what happened. By the way, the bastard recorded the entire process of bullying on camera. None of the adults had any idea what kind of secret experiments Slivko was conducting. Having gained the children's trust, he secretly told some of them that he was conducting experiments in the field of survival, for example, to find out how long a person can go without air, caught in an avalanche or underwater. Slivko told other children that he was filming a movie about the war, part of which would be the story of a Soviet pioneer who helped the partisans and fell into the hands of the fascists. The child was offered to play in a scene of torture and hanging. Slivko said that participating in such experiments was a real feat, and not everyone could dare to do it. Moreover, this was a state secret, which only a select few were privy to. He skillfully influenced the children who trusted him, and they agreed to take part in his experiments. Initially, subjecting children to torture and hanging, Slivko, according to him, did not intend to go too far. He studied medical textbooks, studied resuscitation measures in order to get pleasure from torturing a child and bring him back to life. In the first cases, everything went as he planned. The children remained alive after the torture, and no one was told about what Slivko did to them. Slivko committed his first murder in 1964. At that time, 15-year-old Kolya Dobryshev disappeared in Novosibirsk. The maniac noticed the teenager during lectures at schools. The man invited Kolya Dobryshev to participate in an experiment that ended with the schoolboy's death. Attempts to revive Kolya were unsuccessful, so the maniac dismembered the body and dumped it in the waters of the Kuban River. The deceased was from a dysfunctional family. His mother did not immediately notice her son's disappearance. The search also led to nothing. Thus, the experiments were now divided into lethal and non-lethal, and only Slivko knew what experiment would take place next. The boys had no idea that when they went into the forest, they might not return. Preparation for the experiment was thorough. Slivko prepared a clean, well-ironed school uniform, a white shirt, a red tie, and of course, polished shoes. The boy promised not to eat anything for 10 to 12 hours before the meeting, so that nausea or vomiting would not occur during the experiment. Slivko washed some of the test subjects in the river and dressed them personally. the gourmet, carefully prepared for the future bloody feast. The maniac rendered his victims unconscious in various ways. He put a gas mask on the face of some and forced them to breathe ether. He pulled a plastic bag over the head of others, blocking the air supply. But most often he used a loop made from a rubber hose. He had no fear of being turned in because the boys simply could not know what happened to them next. After the first murder, he limited himself to torturing members of his tourist club for 10 years. Slivko arranged everything in such a way that the children sincerely believed that they were part of some secret state program. He offered them to sign a paper in which the children stated that they agreed to everything voluntarily. And after the torture, he rewarded them with sums of 25 to 30 rubles as a fee. For the 1970s in the USSR, this was a very significant amount of money, especially for teenagers. Those who still did not give in to persuasion, Slivko simply left alone, so no complaints came from the club. Yes, sometimes adults heard from the children about some kind of filming, but no one attached any importance to this. Who knows what boys are capable of making up? Slivko strictly controlled the conduct of his experiments. He always took photographs and films, kept notebooks in which he recorded the date and time of the experiment, the actions and appearance of the victim. At the trial, Slivko indicated that thanks to this approach to conducting the experiment, he increased the time the boys spent in the next world to 9 minutes. It was a real conveyor belt. Dozens and dozens of different boys passed through the hands of the maniac, and in total more than 100 people became victims of non-lethal experiments. If Slivko conducted a deadly experiment, he took the victim out of the noose after 10 to 15 minutes. In 1973, Slivko killed 15-year-old Alexander Nesmyanov after torturing him. This time, the murder was committed completely deliberately. The maniac got rid of the body and even actively helped the investigation during the search. Searches were organized in the forests. Divers examined the bottom of the Kuban River, but this did not bring any results. Sasha's mother also came to Slivko. She asked him if the boy had told him about his plans to run away from home. He replied that he had not. The maniac printed beautiful photographs of the missing Sasha and, in addition, organized a search in the forests for the missing boy, in which up to 200 members of the tourist club participated. Another child went missing in Novosibirsk in 1975. One day, 11-year-old Andrei Pogosyan did not return home. His parents knew that the schoolboy was planning to go to Donskoy Forest for filming a movie of some kind. The father and mother did not question the boy about the director and let him go alone. The next day, Andrei's personal belongings were found on the city embankment, where Slivko had left them to make the child's death appear accidental. Divers searched the bottom of the Kuban River, but did not find Pogosyan's body. The police, who began searching for the boy, did not even consider linking Andrei Pogosyan's disappearance with that of Sasha Nesmyanov. The police also did not pay attention to the fact that both missing children had attended a tourist club. In the end, the case was closed. Murder followed murder, and torture became increasingly sophisticated, leading Slivko to fully believe in his impunity. In 1980, Slivko killed 13-year-old Sergei Fatnev. This time, the maniac actively participated in the search for the missing schoolboy. Slivko even spoke with the parents of the missing boy when they approached the head of the tourist club immediately after their son's disappearance. The maniac calmly told the boy's father and mother that he did not know where the schoolboy had gone. At the same time, Slivko perfectly understood that the parents would never see Sergei alive again. Meanwhile, the maniac continued to kill. In the following years, at least 2 more boys fell victim to his hands, whose deaths Slivko recorded on a video camera. He slit the throats of his victims and smeared their bodies with blood. In his games with the corpses, Slivko went further each time and became increasingly sophisticated. All that he did in front of the camera with parts of the victims cannot be described in my video. It would not pass YouTube's guidelines. Among the most innocent actions, for example, he opened the abdominal and chest cavities, carefully examined and filmed the internal organs. He collected blood in a specially prepared tray and drank it with a spoon. He doused boots with gasoline and set them on fire. He salted off the severed genitals in an ordinary glass jar. In July 1985, the mother and sister of Slivko's 7th victim, 13-year-old Sergei Pavlov, reported to the police. Acquaintances of the boy said that he had gone fishing, but did not take his fishing rods. The investigation suspected Sergei's mother because she did not show strong emotions and behaved reservedly. Additionally, investigators believed that the boy might have drowned. However, before disappearing, Sergei told a neighbor that the head of the tourist club would be photographing him for a magazine. Investigators went to the club, but Slivko had left with his pupils on a trip to the sea. According to the maniac, he tried to commit suicide during the trip. The detective in charge of Sergei's case went on vacation and handed it over to Assistant Prosecutor Tamara Languyeva. Only then did the investigation make progress. Tamara questioned all members of the tourist club. They reluctantly told her about the filming of movies and other activities. Tamara was greatly surprised by the themes of these children's films, which included torture and even scenes of the main characters being hanged. Even more alarming were the vague remarks about some strange medical experiments that the club leader was conducting with the children. Tamara spent hours talking to the club members, trying to get them to reveal details, but without success. It turned out that Slivko wanted to make full-length films. He had filmed several fairy tales about the mythical monster Baba Yaga, fascists, and Indians. But most importantly, according to the script, the heroes often went to the gallows. Suddenly, during one of the conversations, a boy named Slava Kovostik confessed to Tamara that, at Slivko's insistence, he had indeed hung in a noose for 6 minutes, but he did not know how he survived. According to the schoolboy, he quickly lost consciousness. When he came to, he found it difficult to breathe and his tongue was severely swollen. Additionally, Slava could not walk on his own. Slivko brought the boy home and disappeared, while Slava explained to his worried parents that he had been bitten by a caterpillar on the tongue. There were no obvious signs of strangulation on the schoolboy's neck. To avoid leaving marks, the maniac wrapped a soft towel around the rubber hose before putting it on the children. However, later, Slava shared his troubling memories with his school friend, and she told this terrifying story to her parents. But they did not believe her, dismissing the story as a product of childhood imagination. After Slava Kovostik, several more people gave testimony. Taking all circumstances into account, Tamara believed the children. On December 28, 1985, police appeared at the tourist club. They immediately noticed a sign on one of the room doors that read, "No entry." Inside, they discovered the monster's lair. Slivko had stored thousands of photographs, hundreds of reels of film, numerous clothing items, and several dozen pairs of shoes belonging to the teenagers who participated in his experiments. The room also contained props that the man used during filming: ropes, plastic bags, axes, saws, gas masks, knives, and more. Most intriguingly, they found a diary where the maniac described all the details. The items included shoes of some of the deceased schoolchildren. Slivko had sawed off the toes of the boots, sometimes directly from the bodies of the victims, and kept both parts. All these horrific items served as reminders to the maniac of his committed murders, and these memories gave him pleasure. The evidence against him was more than sufficient, so he was arrested on the spot. When the investigators put handcuffs on the detainee, he became terribly outraged and reminded them that they had apprehended a deputy of the city council. Slivko threatened the police with his connections in the Communist Party and told them, "You will regret this." The investigators were horrified when they saw the photographs and recordings. The footage showed a boy in a pioneer uniform hanging from a noose. One of the detectives recounted that, at that moment, he had the urge to shoot Slivko, who was standing nearby. The investigators also found the maniac's diary, where he wrote about sometimes trying to overcome his thirst for murder and wanting to use dolls instead of children, as well as about his pathological feelings towards his own sons. After her husband's interrogation, Slivko's wife left the city. Fearing retribution from local residents, the police officers put the woman and her sons on a train at night. The maniac himself wrote a farewell letter to his wife, in which he explained that his mental disorders were congenital and asked her to watch over their sons. While in prison, Slivko attempted suicide twice, but was unsuccessful. The secretary of the city party organization, who had worked hard to get the maniac the title of honored teacher, could not bear the terrible news and committed suicide. When Tamara asked Slivko about the number of victims, he initially remained silent, but eventually confessed to everything. Before showing the video at the trial, Slivko requested that as few people as possible be present. During the investigation, parents of the murdered schoolboys had to identify remains that had been buried in the ground, but not all were able to do so. Therefore, investigators decided to show the relatives' recordings from Slivko's videos. Fathers and mothers were forced to watch horrific footage of the maniac disposing of their children. Some relatives of the victims fainted after watching these terrible films. In the city, Slivko was nicknamed the Counselor Gutted and the Merited Torturer. By June 1986, when the trial began, Slivko had lost a lot of weight and looked haggard. He silently listened to the prosecution's arguments, understanding what his sentence would be. A psychiatric examination found Slivko sane, but diagnosed him with several deviations, ranging from pedophilia, necrophilia, and sadism to fetishism and pyromania. After sentencing, Slivko lived for 3 more years. Doctors worked with him to create a profile of the psychopath. Anatoli Slivko was executed in 1989. The club ceased to exist. Anatoli Slivko committed 7 murders, but the number could have been much higher. How did he manage to remain free for so long? Why did it take the police 21 years to find the criminal? The answer is simple and disheartening. No one was looking for the killer. Thank you for watching the video. To support my work, please like, subscribe, and leave comments.